News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Welcome to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning.
I'm Allan Gilbreth with darkoakmedia.com.
And I'm Maximilian. You'll dig this. Today's National Archaeology Day.
Yes!
Oh, okay.
But
Well, archaeology, we can salute that for sure.
Oh, yeah.
So
It's time to go play in the dirt. Dig something up.
Thanks, Mac. You know, Max always keeps us on top of this. It's probably not going to be nearly as big of a party as National Octopus Day, which we
that was
celebrated
great.
last week. But hey, we can have fun. Go watch Raiders of the Lost Ark. Go watch all four or five of them. So anyway,
we don't count number 4.
Yeah,
We don't talk about 4.
We don't talk about that. Hey, and also we invite you to, if you want to weigh in and tell us how you're celebrating National Archaeology Day, you can give us a call or text at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. And it really behooves you to go to Tool Talk Radio over on Facebook. I've already posted the must-have item of the week, Allan. I've already posted a video of something we're going to be discussing in honor of Halloween and in honor of that, your favorite time of the year. For our great moments in building history, we are going to talk about really the world's weirdest airport.
We got to be talking about Denver.
Denver International
Yes.
Airport, DIA. Something about those initials sound creepy.
Yeah.
It sounds vaguely governmental and a little close to DOA.
Yeah,
And-
more like dead and arrival.
Right.
Yeah. It's like,
But it's in terms of a construction project, it's really fascinating. But also there is layers of conspiracy and all sorts of weirdness associated with
I
that.
actually get to use the word lizard people on a tool show.
Oh yeah. So we're gonna dive deep into that one. Allan, speaking of archaeology, the McBasement.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is an interesting topic. And
It's a deep subject.
it's going deep, and I don't think we'll over tease that one because that one sounds very interesting, and it's sort of a new trend, I guess, that's happening. Well, Allan, a dry summer equals falling trees. Am I right? We had a pretty heavy rain the other day, and we're paying the price. So
The amount of limb damage I have been dealing with this week is epic.
Yeah, the hill that we're going to die on, and the what we're going to echo and scream from the rooftops till with our last dying breath is keep your trees watered. I mean, we do not want to be seeing another ice storm.
Oh,
like we
my
had
gosh, yes.
So we're going to discuss that. We got a lot of other stuff, Allan. I better quit over teasing this stuff. I even think a Critter Wars might sneak into the discussion. So
it has to.
Who can
It
say?
has to.
And as we say, we'd love to hear from you. So give us a call or text at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline, 901-683-0989. Okay, Allan, this is not a text. This is a PSA, and it's for me. And the reason is, hey, we are, I always think it's exciting, or at least, illuminative, when you learn something new. Even after all of these years of working with tools, I'm not ashamed to say that I'm still learning stuff. Sometimes you have an experience that you never had before. Well, as a lot of you know who've been listening to Tool Talk Radio, I'm in the middle of remodeling my kitchen.
You are.
And among other things, we've made the decision that what the heck, we love the look of those. So we've got white cabinets. We're going to redo the cabinets bright white. We're changing the doors, and we thought to top it off, wouldn't it look cool to use one of those butcher block countertops, which we've stained to this beautiful kind of chestnut color. They're looking really good. But anyway, I have an area of the counters, Allan, where I had to cut. I had to make about 3 cuts. I had to cut the butcher block in half because there's 2 sections. So,
Right. Okay.
So the way I was going to just do this is I've got how many times have we used our circular saw? The circular saw is sort of the go-to tool for things. So
Right.
my thought was I have these aluminum kind of glides that you can clamp onto a board and get a perfectly straight cut as long as you keep that circular saw rested next to the, you'll get a nice clean cut. Well, since I was cutting across the grain, and really since I'm cutting with a wood that I want it to look good when I'm done,
right.
I didn't want something that was going to chip. So I went to my big box store, and I will say this: I've been guilty of this in the past. Sometimes it's easy to just go for a long time without changing your blade on the circular. It's easy. You finish your work, you throw it in the truck or you throw it wherever, but really those blades need to be changed.
They wear out.
They wear out, and as we said, a dull blade is a dangerous blade. So, but also not all blades are created equal. If you're out there framing a house and you just need to chop a 2x4 in half, you want those bigger teeth because you don't care what it looks like. You just need to just get the job done.
It ain't got to be pretty.
But when you're cutting a butcher block in half and you want because folks, if you don't know, the smaller the teeth, or what I should say is the more teeth on the blade, right? Usually there's a tooth count.
Right.
And so that's kind of rule number one. But you need to look because, man, when you go to the big box store, there's literally like 30 different options of saw blades, of the sizes and everything. So I grabbed one that said this is it guarantees the least amount of, I don't know what they called it, blowout or something, So when you're cutting across a grain, it doesn't shred up the top area.
Right. It's pretty close to, it almost looks like a hacksaw blade. It's got a lot of little bitty teeth.
Right.
And it's not going to make that big chip of wood come flying out of the bottom.
Right, which you want when you're cross-cutting and even working with plywood or something. Well, the thing about this is the butcher block is very thick. It's very dense. And so I started cutting through it. I had the guide and everything, and I was having a lot of trouble. It was jamming up, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? And you know how that feeling is when a blade pinches or something?
Right.
It felt like a pinch blade, but I'm like, I don't know why it's pinching. So I started cutting. I'm pushing it forward, and then I backed it off because it was just getting stuck. And eventually I got through it, Allan, but it looked terrible. The edge was awful. And when I looked down the side of it, what it had done is that it literally bent the blade sideways.
Ooh.
And so I'm like, wait a minute, why is it doing this? And then I realized, I looked at it, and the thickness of the blade, it was too thin. I didn't know you could bend a circular saw blade. That's never happened to me before.
I have to confess, I've done it once before myself.
Were you doing a fine cut like this as well, or?
Exactly, and it was a similar case where I was using of a checkerboard glued together block wood.
Okay,
and
lots of different.
So there was different densities and textures, and that little bitty thin blade, because it was hitting different resistance.
Yep.
The top had been kind of soft, the bottom would be a little harder, so the blade wouldn't spin at the right speed, and it would kind of wobble a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not good. And so, folks, if you run into a situation like this, we should say this is also true for most saws. Most saws, there is a blade for a particular job. If you're trying to take the Sawzall and cut the limbs off of your tree, you better have that thick, foot-long blade and the rigid one, because otherwise those things just flop around or whatever.
Right. So, you want the shrubbery blade. You don't want the fine wood blade or the metal destruction blade. Right.
So I went back to my big box store and I got another blade and what I did was I took the old blade with me, and if you hold the packaging just right, you can look at the profile of it. And this new blade that I bought was probably literally a 1/16 of an inch thicker, but it was just that amount thicker.
The perfect amount to not bend.
And so I took that blade, I went back and recut it, and man, that thing went through it like a hot knife through butter, man. That
excellent,
cut great. So that it had a happy ending, but I'm like, wow, this is a new experience I've never had. I better share this on Tool Talk, because who knows, somebody else may have that.
Well,
and
well, as a budding woodworker, for anybody out there who's looking at something going, I think I could probably build that.
Yeah.
That is where you really catch. That's where you really catch these nuances between, that's the difference between this blade and that blade.
Right. And to keep in mind, too, when you're working with tools, there's always these weird, because it may not occur to you that a saw, especially a circular saw blade, can bend. Well, it can.
They can.
Things can happen. Weirdness can happen. So just don't panic. Maybe you just need a new saw blade. So I just wanted to throw that out there. So, well, Allan, actually, we did get a text, but we felt this was worthy of going up number 2. So let's hear about this.
Foul, cruel, and bad-tempered rodent you ever set eyes on. I just wanted to hug.
Oh, rats in the kitchen, just like that delightful movie I taped in the theater.
Did I say number 2, Alan? I guess there's, but you got a text literally as we were going about 5 minutes before we went on the air,
just as we were sitting
and we're
here,
like, well, this has to
getting
be
comfortable.
mentioned. So, all right. So
The text reads as follows: 2 a.m. Period. The trap went off at 2 a.m. Period. I haven't been out to check on the size yet. Period. I'll never forget that sound.
is there an exclamation point at the end?
No, there's the big green yucky face.
Okay. Now, folks, that's the kind of text we like. Very emotional. I'm surprised there was no, I would have stuck an exclamation point in there somewhere.
I think the big green yucky face said it all.
Okay, I will never forget the sound of that trap at 2 a.m. So this person is dealing
Sounds like
with,
a Vietnam vet and everything. I'll never forget the sound, man.
So, Alan, what are we talking about here? Because this sounds like a little inside baseball. This is something. This is a friend of yours, right?
Well, this is a very lovely local actress
Okay.
who called me yesterday and said something got into her house and honestly ate the flower arrangement off her dining room table.
All right, that's not really funny,
And
but
she's absolutely horrified. And Joe, I knew you would empathize with her immediately, having dealt with, squirrel condos for years.
we never had this out. Our squirrels
They never got
got
in
in
the
the
house.
walls, but they never
They
made,
never got
they never
in
breached
the house,
walls.
right?
Yeah.
So
holy
this
cow.
actually got in the house. So bless her heart, I went by last night and we set up, as she put it, it's no longer Mr. Nice Guy time.
Playtime's over.
Playtime's over, folks.
Yeah.
She bought the thingies that make the noise. She did the things that are supposed to get critters to leave your house. They haven't. They've invaded. They ate the flower arrangement. It's war.
So it's they. You think?
It's that. Oh, it's definitely they.
What are we talking here?
We are talking about the Norwegian brown rat.
Oh gosh.
We are
okay.
talking. These guys are very prolific here in the Mid-South. They're actually all around the world. So for everybody listening, this is valid advice no matter where you live. These guys are very opportunistic. They're intelligent. And if you think a squirrel can find a way into your house, these guys make squirrels look like amateurs.
What did you say the rule of thumb is, Alan? Go
It's
ahead.
the Navy versus the Navy SEALs.
Oh, it is. It is, man.
Didn't you say there's some? What's the guideline as far as
All
how
right,
big of an
if
opening
your
they
thumb,
need?
If your thumb will go through that hole, a whole big old 1 pound rat can get through that
Isn't
hole.
that something? Because you look at them, you're like, there's no way they'd squeeze
Their
through something like that.
skeleton is so agile and so slender down the middle of it. If the head and the jaws fit through,
Yeah.
the rest of it can be wiggled through the hole.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, these guys they're smart, they're intelligent, and this time of year, a lot of people let their dogs out and leave them out because it's fantastic. The dogs are having a great time.
Well, they love this weather.
The
Yeah.
weather's fabulous. If you ran around wearing a big fur coat all the time, you'd be digging this weather too.
Sure.
But then people put the food out
Yeah.
and they leave the food out. And that begins the possums, the raccoons, and if you're really unlucky, the brown rats.
Wait. Okay, so you're saying the food was left outside. Is
which
that-
brings them to your home.
Yeah, that is a bad.
And
Haven't
now-
we preached on that, Alan?
Now, bless her heart, she has no pets, but she has neighbors with pets.
so what
so
are they
she-
bothering her for?
She has the quiet house
Okay.
where there's nothing to bother them.
She's probably out a lot during the daytime.
There's no
She's-
cat in the house.
okay.
There's nothing to deter them from exploring. And they have obviously found a way in, and now they have found a way into the house itself. And as of this morning's report, I have a wonderful picture of her done up in battle garb.
Well, she should.
To go
That's right.
remove last night's, how should we say, opening salvo in the rat removal process.
All right, I hate to ask, but is this a catch and release trap, or is this the clamp and it's over?
Well,
trap?
if you bend the bars back, it'll release the body. As I told her,
Okay.
we were bringing a bag of Allan glee and happiness to her house last night.
Okay, well,
Which means, I'm sorry, the rat checks in, the rat don't check out.
oh my gosh. Okay,
So-
but Alan, this is a serious. So where because
And
we're always
this
trying to
can-
give solutions.
Yeah,
where
well, this can happen at anyone's house anywhere, anytime. So you're sitting there in your very tidy neighborhood looking around at your house going, it could never happen here. Oh, yes, it can.
Yeah, because it's not about, oh gosh, you always associate it with, they keep a messy house,
Trash
or whatever.
and debris and
it's
that
not
kind of stuff.
That.
That makes me think of those old PSAs. It could happen to you.
This is more about how well sealed up is your house.
How well sealed up is your house, and and what are the baits in the area? And it's not necessarily your house,
Right.
But it's the surrounding area about you. They're and they're ubiquitous. I mean, they're literally everywhere in this county.
Well, they multiply, don't they?
The expression breeds like bunnies. They
Right.
got that from rats. Trust me.
But what's interesting here though is so your neighbor, in other words, maybe the neighbor leaves the dog food bowl out, and they have a nice meal, then they want to go relax.
Now
somewhere.
they're looking for a place to take a nap. And your nice, quiet house with the nice shrubberies and the beautiful downspouts make the perfect place. So, actually had a friend several weeks ago come running up to me, absolutely horrified, and showed me that they had just bought one of those I See Everything doorbells.
Oh, yeah, those are cool.
There's several different brands, but
Right.
they had installed one, and it went off about 2, 3 in the morning.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
they thought, somebody's at the front door. Who, The next day when they reviewed the footage, what they got was a lovely view of the underside of a rat crawling up the top of the ring going upstairs. And she was just horrified. Like, why was a rat climbing my house?
Sure.
And I said, well, what you got in the attic? Well,
Here
we
go.
put all
Yep.
of our holiday decorations up there. And I said, great. You got Halloween decorations up there? Oh, yeah, we got our corn stalks and I went,
I remember.
bingo.
Boom. Yeah.
Bingo. You had corn stalks.
Right.
Because the next day she reported, they had a party.
Yeah, we had
Oh,
the
yeah.
same thing, and I've told the story many times. But our garage had a little gap that I wasn't aware of until later. Because after Halloween, we had those hay bales.
Oh,
Or no,
yeah.
before Halloween, we had them ready to go. And man, I wouldn't have thought a rat has any interest in hay, but that's like
they
a
did.
buffet for them.
Oh, yeah, they did.
They got in, they made a mess, and then we got rid of the hay and we closed up the gap. But man, this sounds like a real problem. So what's your friend going to do? I mean, I hope she gets her. You're going to have to go around the outside and check the
Yes.
soffits, check.
Yeah, there will be a thorough inspection of the house later. But
It's really frustrating because they can climb,
they
can
can
burrow,
climb,
they can. Oh,
they
man.
can get in through the darndest places, especially if you've recently had any work done on the house where maybe plumbing had to be rerun or something had to be changed or landscaping. Maybe they dug something up out of the yard. Anything that could have created a gap where there wasn't one before. Now, squirrels are also rats' best friends because squirrels can gnaw through anything.
Do they
'Cause
ever
a
team
squir-
up or do they get into a turf war?
Well, they kind of politely ignore each other,
Okay.
but the squirrels are the ones that can chew through the back of the soffit and gnaw their way through a gutter. And once that hole has been made,
So
If we're using like battle comparisons, it makes me think of like the soldiers that went in through D-Day. They blew up the barbed wire. Those are the squirrels, and then you have the invading force behind them.
yeah.
see, that's
Easily.
I was thinking of the refrigerator William Perry that would blow
Yeah.
through the defensive line, and then Walter Payton would run in behind him and get a touchdown.
absolutely have a big wide open field right there.
Okay. Well, are there any? Is there one last thing about this? Because you told us with squirrels, one of the telltale signs are these. I hate to say it, kind of these greasy, oily trails that they leave up
Right.
up a wall, and you're okay. That's an entrance. Do rats leave that kind of
They're
evidence?
frightening. They're either cleaner, so you really have to look for it. The biggest thing you're going to get with them is you're going to hear them. You're going to hear those little nails scratching on things.
Oh, right.
So
Yeah.
it may sound a little bit like a tree branch scratching on the side of the house, but it's going to be going across the attic. Now, squirrels thump and bump, and raccoons just knock stuff around.
Yeah.
Rats are quiet, but you'll hear little scratching sounds and stuff like that. And that is an absolute guarantee. Somebody is decided you look like a comfortable place to visit.
And so, folks, if you ever have, I can tell you this from personal experience, if you ever walk in the house or there's a room in particular or there's right by the front door, you smell just a smell that's off, that does not belong there.
Yeah.
It's a faintly kind of unpleasant smell. Don't ignore that.
Unpleasantly sweet.
Don't just get the Febreze and hope for the
Yeah,
best. Go
look.
Get proactive, or you might wind up like Alan's friend here, where they've breached and they're in the house. We don't want that. So wow, I hope she'll keep us posted on this.
Oh, this is going to be an ongoing saga.
Has she sent
I
a
promise.
picture of the carcass yet?
No, well, we're not getting a picture of the carcass, but the picture of her with the gloves, the mask, and the big parka on are priceless.
Okay, awesome. Well. We hope your experience listening to Tool Talk Radio was priceless. I mean, it's free. What do we care? We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Alan, this is going to be interesting. We're going to talk about the McBasement.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
This is glue. Strong stuff.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
See, that's what your friend needed, some glue,
Oh, my
strong
gosh.
stuff. The rat would have never breached the house
They
at all.
had those. They have those really weird rat traps or whatever, bug traps, where it's like just really sticky stuff.
Yeah,
Strong
I
stuff.
really don't like those.
Those are harsh.
Those are mean.
Yeah.
Anyway, welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Alan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. And, of course, we invite you to go to Tool Talk Radio on Facebook and check out the action over there, including the must-have item of the week, which I've already posted, and a link to a video that's got information about our great moments in building history, which we're going to get to in the next hour, the very bizarre Denver International Airport. So, but we were, before the break, if you're just tuning in, we had a text. Alan got it. This is in real time. This
Yes.
show unfolds as we go. You got a text about a friend of yours dealing with a rat situation.
Yes.
And Max, didn't you say somebody else wanted to chime in on that? So-
Yeah, we did indeed. We have Keith, and he sent in pictures of the different types of rats that exist out there, from the roof rats, Norway rats, the young rat to house mouse.
Gee, okay. And they're all here in Memphis, right,
Oh,
Alan?
yes. Oh, yes.
Hey, thanks, Keith, for showing us that. It's funny what triggers people.
Yeah, look at that and go, oh, look, there's the Norwegian. We know him very well. Yes.
Okay. Max, off the air, though, you said you had a sort of an infamous story from your high school. Let's not name the high school, but something happened that was, as long as we're in Critter Wars.
It's a horror story, and it's the thing of legend.
Oh, good.
So in one of our classrooms and everything, there was this terrible smell and everything. Like those old ACs that they're sort of like a prism that are like against the wall.
Yes.
I think there was a rat died in there. But not only that, but there was a girl was sitting at her desk, and then all of a sudden, just out of random, a dead rat fell on her desk.
Yep. Surprise!
Wow.
Surprise.
That'll wake you up.
Yeah. That'll be a few years of therapy for that goes away.
This is
Yeah.
a true story, Max. This isn't some urban legend that the kids cooked up, or
It might be a thing of legend, but who cares?
okay. Right through the ceiling tile, I guess, huh?
Yeah. Stranger
guess-
things have happened.
Okay, if we're gonna examine this, I could see that the decaying rat probably gives off a certain amount of
There
fluids,
is-
right?
yeah.
Which soften the ceiling tile,
and
which
down
make
on
it
it came
vulnerable.
through.
And
Yep.
boom. Okay. Well, whoever she is, I hope she had a good lawyer.
Oh
and probably-
boy, yeah. There's some therapy involved in that. Yeah.
Anyway, all right. Well, hey, Alan, in a minute we're going to get to your really interesting story about the McBasement, which sounds intriguing. Before we get to that, let's talk about our good buddy Larry Brown from Brown Refrigeration, who is, I'm sure he's busy. It's that transitional
furnace,
time of the
man,
year,
It's furnace season.
and this is literally we're here down here in the Mid-South. We are at that time of year where you might use the heater and the air conditioner the same day. I believe the high today is going to be 80 degrees, but this morning I had to have a flannel shirt on, Alan. It was a little chilly. So.
Yeah, I noticed you were layered up today.
Yeah, that's the way you got to be here in the Mid-South. Well, layers are a good idea anyway, not to segue. But whenever you have any HVAC needs, Larry, and clean air needs.
Oh, yes.
Your buddy could use some clean air.
Right now she would just, yeah.
And one other thing we don't sell often enough is the cleaning your ductworks. Really, you just the entire system from the inside out. It's the lungs of your home, as we say. It's conditioning the air. It's cleaning the air. If you get involved with the Remy Halo system, which they offer, which is actually very reasonably priced.
Yes.
We don't usually mention that either, Alan. But the Remy Halo system, which gives off the UV power of the sun. Means that all of the air coming out of your air ducts is not only clean, but it's cleaning every surface that it hits. It gives off these microscopic cleaning particulates. It's really just a no-brainer. If you're upgrading your system, just get this. It's such revolutionary technology.
Your breathing will thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Because like we say, I mean, it's important not only to eat well and drink well, but you got to breathe well. So
Indeed.
Especially here in the Mid-South with all the pollen and everything we deal with, and it helps combat COVID and everything else. Also, you can control it from your smart home system. You can control it from your phone, which is great. The smart home technology that they incorporate with that, and they just have a great business culture at Brown Refrigeration. They answer their phones. They've been around forever. They stand behind their work. They're rock solid, and Larry Brown is just a great guy, and you're going to be very happy to do business with him. So get in touch with them. You can call them directly at 901-362-1881 or go to their website, brownref.com. All right, Alan, I got to admit, I never heard this term before, but you talked about the McBasement.
I did.
I hope this isn't another one of your head fakes. This isn't like the IKEA discussion that's going to whatever.
No.
Now, this one sounded like...
I'm going to look directly at you and say, you've been in one.
Oh, yes. Okay.
You've been in one. You've been in one that might have even been baseball themed.
Well, could you say so? Okay, I'm just curious, though. McBasement, isn't that similar to, like, we've heard of the McMansion, which to me is a generic kind of nondescript mansion, isn't that it? So this doesn't sound like what for folks that don't know, if you go to Netflix or if you just Google something, Google Club 400, which is the ultimate Cubs man cave, which is owned by my friend Stuart McVicker over down in Chicago, and it's like the ultimate Cubs fan basement, but it's been this basement, I think, is insured for like $500,000. It's full of collectibles. It's a replica in many areas of Wrigley Field. But this is different, what you're saying. This is something else.
Well, of course, we've heard the phrase McMansions, where a lot of people have moved from tight urban areas to more suburban areas and have built large luxury homes.
Is it the same concept, too? Because one thing here in East Memphis we see a lot of is they might tear down maybe it's a really great neighborhood. They tear down a little 3-bedroom house and they build like a 6,000 square foot house.
Exactly.
That's what a McMansion is.
Exactly.
Okay. Gotcha.
And because there are limits, because there's a lot of zoning laws and that kind of stuff, there are a lot of places, especially in a lot of very high value real estate areas.
Right.
There's only so much you can do.
You can't spread out very far.
You can't spread out this far. You can't build above a certain height.
Oh, good point.
Because you think about, we have the bluffs of Memphis. Mm-hmm. So here you bought a beautiful house on the bluff, and the guy below you builds an 8-story mansion. And now you're looking in the back of his bathroom.
Right,
So you wanted to see the river, and now so there are limits to what you can build and where you can build it.
Okay.
But a lot of these jurisdictions didn't really think about down. So a lot of these people... Okay,
because if you go build downwards... You're not interfering with anybody.
Well, now I'm not worried about upstairs, so if I really got to have that wet bar, swimming pool, and bowling alley, we can start hauling some dirt. And I like a lot of the articles I looked up on this before I brought you the story, and it's these, as they put, the scourge of suburbia, because a lot of these houses... In some places, because they don't have any limitation what you can do below the surface of your property, some of them got more house underground than they got above ground.
So you might have a nice looking, average looking 2-story home, but you got
They may have
you got the command center
they
underground.
may have 4,000 or 5,000 feet above ground.
Wow.
But below ground, they may have, one of them I looked at was 3 stories deep. Took over 600 truckloads of dirt out of the ground to make this thing, and includes a bowling alley.
Okay, where was this?
This was in California.
Yeah, of course.
And they're like,
Okay, wait a
you guys
minute
are going
now.
crazy.
California, because that, where you're dealing with fault lines, earthquakes.
Well,
I guess if there's a fire, you're safe because you just go under.
You just get really below ground. And these are happening, honestly, around the world, from London to L.A. So this is a big thing. And the one thing that was cracking me up while I was reading these articles, if you've ever seen any of the shows about opal hunters out in the Australian outback,
What's an opal hunter?
opals, the precious stones.
Oh, I thought it was an animal you were talking about.
No, opals.
Well, I know what an opal is.
And the people they're mining opals,
Right.
of the area of Australia they live in is so desolate and so terrible, you don't want to live above ground.
No.
So their entire dwellings are below ground.
Well,
they
we
just
saw how
carve
Luke
them out.
Skywalker lived. I mean,
Exactly. Welcome to
sense.
Tatooine.
Right.
So I just found this article fascinating in the fact that people are buying these properties, and one of the big things they're asking for is like geological surveys.
Yeah, no kidding.
As to how far down we can go.
Well,
How big can I make the basement? What kind of access can I put in? Because you get into we've tackled this before, because you got a lot of water issues, a lot of soil motion issues. You've got a lot of air issues because you got to get air down there.
right.
So your upstairs house is basically becoming your command ship.
Yeah, this is where. So, because I had the idea sounds interesting until you start getting into how do you build it? What is this thing going to look like in 20 years? What is the foundation? So,
Can it be turned into a Mick Fallout shelter?
yeah, no kidding. So, but that was my question. And what is it like to be spending the majority of your time underground where you're not looking out any windows? And what does that do to your psychology? And
Is this going to turn into like the future of mole people, or like that terrible thing with H.G. Wells, like the Time Machine, where all the
Right.
humans became either pale or I forget what the other
they
type
lived
was.
underground, or else they lived on the ground and were basically food for the So
Like,
either way was bad. But Allan, there's a lot of dynamic. It's not just a simple matter of moving underground. That I don't know what the immediate challenge to me is. Okay, what do you make the walls and the foundation out of? There's got to be sub pumps. There's got to be what is going on 3 stories underground. I mean, that's quite a ways to dig down.
That's
depending on what part of the country you live in too. Right?
Exactly. Welcome to what the zoning districts are now trying to figure out is that, Bob moved into this, again, 5,000 or 6,000 square foot house. And, is the house now 14,000 square feet because he's got a full luxury gym and a 12-person hot tub downstairs?
Right.
Another concern that I have is the fact that, like, let's just say Bob's house was originally meant for having like a foundation for just the house and nothing below it. But all of a sudden you're disrupting the foundation. Like, what is that going to do to the rest of the house above it? Because you're putting something below it that wasn't meant to be there in the first place.
Yeah.
Well,
I think
you're
there's
talking about a lot of architecture. Well, I mean, think about it. Let's pick on like Nantucket.
Okay.
That's a very world famous island.
Sure.
Right there. Well, it's only 14 miles long. There's only so much stuff that will ever fit on the island of Nantucket.
right.
And they actually got really sneaky early on and said the footprint of your housing can only be 2% of your property.
Wow. 2%.
So you cannot build big lavish things.
I didn't know that.
So-
It's interesting.
Guess what? Everybody went underground. One of the homes I looked at has a 6,000 square foot bunker featuring a 3D golf simulator and a full spa.
Here's my question, Allan. Okay, so going back to my friend Stu McVicker, who owns
Right.
Club 400. Well, the thing I left out of that, it is a basement, However, his house is on a hill, so the back side of the basement actually has a sliding door that goes out to his backyard. There's windows. There are things. Half of it's subterranean. The other half you can see daylight. So it's not quite the same experience as this. So I feel like there's a difference here when you're dealing with. I keep going back to airflow, moisture,
Right.
the way that I don't know, man. I think,
But
this is reminding me a lot of the houses that were built in the 70s once pressboard was invented, pressboard siding. And they're like, hey, this stuff's cheap. We can cut our building costs. And then 20 years later, you're dealing with the fallout of, of
we're
rotting
replacing all these
siding
walls. Right.
and critters getting in. So I don't know. I'm not necessarily gung-ho about this idea.
Well, there are a number of architectural firms out there now featuring entire divisions devoted to your lavish basement.
So, okay, go ahead.
So I'm just saying, there's a lot of research into this. There's a lot of architecture being designed into this to make sure that your luxury villa of underground and above ground are going to be solid, I guess. But just looking at the list of some of the things that these people are building into them, a couple of them almost all of them have some kind of bar.
Sure. No kidding.
A lot of them have pools or hot tubs. A few of them even went underground and built climbing walls.
Okay. I mean,
that's crazy. And
so it's recreational space. So.
My favorite one is a couple of investors built whiskey tasting rooms, which I thought was hilarious. Now, here's the big thing: you're underground, you have no natural light.
Right.
So a lot of what they're doing, believe it or not, they're putting in kind of like a central grand staircase open to the natural light above. And they're even putting in skylights cut through the soil going to the ground above.
You need something. But Allan, what happens when the power goes out? What happens if you have no power for 2 weeks because of an ice storm and you got a swimming pool down there getting funky and
I would say add some goldfish.
I don't like I'm sorry. I don't think. Here's the other thing I'm going to think about. Gosh, I'm really getting preachy here, but okay, Allan, you've got concrete or you've got whatever forms the walls on this space. Well, you're going to also need a moisture barrier outside of that concrete, and it's going to have to be made of a material that can withstand decades and decades and maybe even centuries of resisting rotting underground. Well, that means that is probably not very good for the environment. That a material that is that resilient to decay. What about when you demolish this thing and you got to get rid of that? I don't know, man.
Well, Aspen, Colorado, for fear of upsetting the topography of the area, have now limited basements to only one level.
Okay.
So you had to have a law
to
where you had to limit people to 1 story underground.
Right.
This also kind of makes me think about like if you want to demolish it, how about people that want to like move their house? Because we've talked about in an episode about how people like to move their house, and a kind of quote that I have for like not making these overly like niche like extreme these structures and everything is you pigeonhole the possibilities for future construction around it.
Yeah. I don't know, Max. It sounds to me like when you pull the top off of a muffin, you get the good part, the rest of it staying put. So it's like, but I don't know. I'd love to hear what our listeners have to say about this.
This is just kind of a really wild trend that suddenly going underground is a hot building trend in the last couple of years.
I suspect there's going to be psychological studies of what happens with it. I mean, honestly, there's something about when you have no daylight.
I'm talking radon gas here.
I mean,
because the further underground you get,
right?
I'll pick on our poor listeners in the Nashville area. If you've got a below ground aspect to your home, you certainly need a radon detector because that is a natural gas produced by the planet,
right?
That will seep into underground structures. And it's not real good for you.
No, I see the, if you have the best of both worlds, maybe you have a basement and it sometimes they're useful because for one thing, if you live in the north, you always have a basement because that's where your hot water tank and everything, so they don't freeze and they're not exposed. But I don't know, man. As usual, everybody gets carried away and takes things too far.
Oh, I'm looking at this. One guy actually has a 7,000 square foot house above ground and put in another 12 grand in space below. So he has 12,000 square feet under his house.
I don't know.
It's
man.
just amazing. So I saw this, and then Joe and I was like, you and I work on stuff all the time under some crazy conditions.
Right.
We've crawled under houses. We've crawled through attics. We've been on roofs. I got to admit, I've never worked 3 stories underground.
No, I don't even know what that experience is like. I wonder at some point, do your ears start popping? Do you know? I just wonder if there's different pressures and stuff, going on under there. So I don't know. This is going to be an interesting one too.
Yeah, we're going to have to follow up on this one to kind of see how these structures are holding up. And I'm really going to be curious to see how they actually design and build one of these, especially if they're retroing it under an existing home.
Oh, that's even more fun. So, yeah, I don't know. It's like the ultimate bunker, So.
Well, if you're building a new home and you're just going to start with a huge dirt pit and start from the bottom, work your way up, that's like building a skyscraper.
Right.
That's kind of common technology. But if you bought a house that maybe had a small basement and you suddenly go, what I really want is a pool table over here.
Yeah.
That is moving a lot of dirt through your house.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, Allan, we'll definitely be following this trend with great interest. But let's segue because it's been a dry summer. It's been a dry early fall. We finally got some rain over here in the Mid-South, but it wasn't the kind of rain we wanted. It was like torrential rain, then it was sunny an hour later, then it was, so we want that slow, steady rain. But, if you've been ignoring your trees, that you may pay the price soon. So what can we do? And I guess, because like you say, if trees dry out, then you suddenly saturate them. Limbs can fall. But what are some telltale signs as well to see if your trees are healthy or if they're in trouble?
Well, all right. Well, one, you can always give a tree a knock test.
What's that?
If you've got older trees, especially oak trees, and you've got a rubber mallet, those big rubber mallets, walk out there and give that baby a whack. And if it sounds hollow, there's not as much tree there as you think there is.
I'm assuming it's not hollow, but what if it's problematic?
If it's a big solid tree, it's just gonna thump. But if you get that bang of
a rubber mallet's really the perfect tool for that.
Yeah, you don't want to go out there with a big old sledgehammer and put a big dent in your tree.
Right.
You want something that's going to make some noise, but you don't want to harm anything. Another big thing that you look for is the roots.
Okay.
Of how exposed are they? Is your yard?
Because we've seen roots where they're crawling across the lawn and they're up. Yeah. That's not good, right?
Well, did the lawn retreat? Your lawn been, has the soil been basically blown away?
Right.
Are you exposing roots? Is your yard sinking and your tree rising? Because now there's less to hold that tree in place.
The roots are important. So, What about the people that pile mulch all around the edges of their tree, and create a tree volcano?
Yeah, the tree volcano, not the best of ideas because now you got roots growing up into that.
Right.
But you're not necessarily, properly done, the tree volcano should look like a tree moat.
Right. Okay.
It should go around the tree, but give you a spot so that water can get down through the top of it.
Okay. So, I guess the big thing is, if you weren't watering your tree this summer,
then the leaves already started dropping fast.
Yeah, because I'm already seeing some leaves falling.
Well, I mean, not today, but like 3 or 4 weeks ago, was your tree already starting to drop its leaves?
Right.
In which case, that was because your tree is going, I don't have enough water, so I got to drop the leaves to conserve myself.
Yeah.
And that's a big giveaway that your tree is a little too dry.
Okay. Yeah. Stay on top of that, folks. That's critical, especially as we get into the winter here. So, well, Allan, hour 1 of Tool Talk Radio is in the can, but hour 2 is coming up, and boy, are we going to kick it off in style.
Oh, boy.
We're going to talk all about the world's weirdest airport, the Denver International Airport.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
And welcome to Hour 2 of Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. And we also invite you to go to Tool Talk Radio on Facebook. That's the name of the page. That's why I say that, Allan. So just for clarification. And check out the action over there. We have the must-have item of the week, which we're actually going to pivot, and we're going to get to that in just a minute. But we also have a video, one of literally thousands of other videos that you can find about the Denver International Airport, which we're going to be discussing momentarily in our Great Moments in Building History. And there's a lot of ways to approach that conversation, and we're going to try to approach them all. So, but Allan, just to take care of this, because this is not a very complicated must-have item of the week. But let's show people what I'm holding up. It is critical. It's a mission-critical item
it is
sometimes.
so critical on occasion. That is the portable cellophane tape dispenser.
Is that what it's called?
That's a cellophane tape, a.k.a. your clear, self-adhesive, pressure-sensitive tape that you constantly need everywhere.
And if you don't like using all the fancy words that Allan does, it's just packing tape. It's that clear tape. I don't know what it's made of, but it's
cellophane.
Well, whatever it is strong. You could have a box that's holding, your 500-pound whatever, and it's wrapped in this tape, and it will hold up, man.
Now, I give you a secret to get that tape off.
Okay.
Hair dryer.
Okay. Well, it's funny you mentioned that, Allan, because I was curious about that. What do you mean to get it off? Like, because I was going to say, the one thing about this tape, don't leave it in the sun. Don't put something and tape it and then put it, in the sun and expect you're going to get this thing off even 2 hours later. The sun is going to bake it on. It's going to dry it out.
It
and the glue
melts
never
a
comes
little
off.
bit. It adheres very strongly. But, yeah, you can sometimes people are trying to finagle getting the cellophane off of something.
Right.
Like somebody left it on. Get your hair blower, soften it up, and peel it off.
Okay, that's interesting, Al, because my go-to for any type of gluey residue is usually rubbing alcohol or some sort of solvent. And you're saying,
and if there's something sticky left, you can use that.
Okay.
Hey, shout out to the Motor Mouths. Bud from the Motor Mouths, he recommended on one of his Motor Mouth Minutes, if you want to remove decals, you actually use a hair dryer. So to your point.
Oh, okay, so that is good. I didn't think of that. I guess there's a fine line between a hair dryer and a heat gun. Don't use a heat gun. Those you can cook a pizza with those.
The fine
things,
line is 500 degrees, Joe.
Yeah. But for my money, packing tape is just as durable as like duct tape. And
there's the one thing. It's like a constant battle everywhere, especially in my commercial environment.
Right.
You hear the words, does anybody have a piece of tape? About 4 times a day.
Sure. Yep.
Rocket the raccoon is not the only one looking for a piece of tape.
No, the only downside with this, I will say, and you got to keep the little cutter. I've got that round cutter thing on it. You just got to, when you're done using it, you got to fold the little bit of the lip over of the edge, because, man, when you try to unroll that thing, for one thing, you can't even see the seam. Right. You can't even see it. And then it has this tendency to tear and unroll in an unpleasant way. So, but hey, it's great stuff and it's cheap. And when you need it, you need it.
When you got to have it, you got to. And the one thing you can do with that, you can create an instant handle. One of my favorite tricks in the world with cellophane tape.
Okay.
So like you've got a box to carry, or you've got a couple of boxes to carry. What I love to do with that is wrap it around it a few times and then come over the top and put it over my hand and wrap a few times so that you've got a raised area of tape, and then you just crumple the sticky together and it will make an instant handle.
I thought I saw.
And you can tote, I have toted so much stuff like that.
Wasn't there a science fiction movie where the guy taped the guns to his hand because he didn't want to drop them in battle or something like that?
Exactly correct.
Same idea. All right.
So I will freely say that is an amazing tape and a good choice today.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. Well, Allan, momentarily we're going to get to our big showcase, great moments in building history. Before we do that, though, it would be a dereliction of duty if we didn't point people in the direction of Jay Hill from Big M Roofing and Remodeling.
Oh, goodness, yes.
Especially, and I have to believe, every time we get one of these torrential rains, somebody new is calling Jay, because let's face it, man, those are the kind of rains where, yeah, maybe you've got a problem that doesn't reveal itself all the time, but suddenly when you get that kind of rain, boom, you got the leaks.
I have to say, this week I said a few quiet thank yous to him.
Oh yeah,
as you and I are both sitting under his roofs.
oh yeah, we both have done business with Jay, and we both benefited from his expertise. But so Jay Hill, if you're new to Big M Roofing and Remodeling, 5 stars with the Better Business Bureau and Good Housekeeping. He's a GAF Master Elite Installer, and GAF is that's the company you want to get involved with. They're at the cutting edge of roofing technology. They install roofing systems. It's not just a matter of nailing a few shingles up there and hoping for the best. These are well thought out, very ergonomic, and very meant to be long lasting. These roofs, if you have a GAF roofing system installed, they come with a lifetime transferable warranty.
Yes, they do.
Which I wonder when they're going to come to their senses and change that. That's nuts. I mean, you can
awesome though.
It's a great thing. It's a great feature, and it's especially useful if you're selling your home. For one thing, it's great to have a lifetime warranty, but also if you can use you can tell the new owner, hey, this is under warranty and it's under your name. So, and also Jay loves his roofing and remodeling tie together, because sometimes a roofing problem creates a remodeling necessity. Yeah. So, but they do it all. They do great work. And also Jay's, one of his key areas of expertise is that he's a former insurance agent, and he's very well versed in everything that goes on with homeowners insurance, because if you have an issue with water getting in your home, or if you have an issue with your roof, it may be covered by your homeowner's insurance, and that is not an easy process to navigate. You really need an advocate. Jay is more or less your advocate and your roofing expert at the same time, and we've both benefited. Like I said, Allan, you and I both got our roofs, we do, replaced with a small deductible, which was great. So all of this expertise is free. You can have Jay come over and give you a free consultation and have him check out your roof. So there's really no reason to call. You can get in touch with Jay directly at 901-484-5645, or go to bigmroofingandremodeling.com. All right, Max, I've been looking forward to this one.
And now, great moments in building history.
Even more mysterious than the Denver airport, Allan, is who is that voice? Where one day...
Can't imagine.
One day, the truth will be... You remember when Kiss took their makeup off and we suddenly saw, what
and
they
went,
really...
oh, put it back on.
Yeah.
Sure, some freak.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen when we discover who did that voice there. But this is good. So we're doing this in honor of Halloween. This is your favorite time of the year, Allan. So let's pick something a little weird and a little, So let me lay out the bullet points, if you don't mind. So we're talking about the Denver International Airport. And if you don't know anything about this, folks, you're like, why would an airport qualify as creepy or, bizarre? Well, folks, just jump on YouTube and in 5 minutes you're going to find out why. So this airport opened in 1995. I'm kind of kicking myself, Allan, because I spent a week in Denver in 1993. So I missed my chance to see this by 2 years. But anyway, it was built to replace the Stapleton Airport, which was back in the day when it was built, I want to say like in the 1930s, Denver was not what it was. I mean, it was a much smaller city. The skyscrapers weren't there. And suddenly the city started to encroach on the airport, which also, it also means that people living in there don't want to hear airplanes taking off at 2 a.m. So they needed something. So they built the new airport 25 miles away from the city on a huge piece of land. It's actually twice, the airport as it stands now is twice the size of the island of Manhattan, which is interesting. And they have more land if they need it. So, and it's one of the busiest airports in the country. However, it went $2 billion over budget. Put a pin in that, Max, because that's going to be an important, that's going to tie in with part of the conspiracy. It was 16 months behind schedule. It wanted to do something unique. It wanted to have the world's first fully automated robotic baggage system. That was one of the things they were hailing, and that's what they were promoting. It had a whole underground network of tunnels because it to keep it out of the snow and the rain and everything. And also one of the things, the features of the airport they wanted the design to reflect the spirit of the West, and they also wanted it to be a big celebration of many types of artists in a variety of mediums, and they gave a lot of artistic license to the artists involved in this. So that's the
putting it
overview.
mildly,
I just given you the overview.
Yeah.
And now, Alan, let's look closely at these different features, because it all plays out in a very unique way. So, okay.
The airport built by the Illuminati.
Well,
Yes.
there you go. So one of the things, it's over budget. Okay, now, in fairness, they were trying to do some revolutionary things. One of the things that really threw them off was this robotic baggage system.
Right.
Okay, they wanted it fully automated. I'm saying robots because that sounds more fun, but they basically wanted it where it didn't require very much human interaction.
Correct.
It would make it faster, and they literally had a system where they were throwing the bags into the plane, and there's some great footage of like exploding luggage and missiles of going wrong.
Well,
So,
all right, this is 1995.
Right.
And all right, to somebody like me, 1995 was like 25 minutes ago.
Right.
In reality, that was 25 years ago in technology.
We weren't carrying cell phones back. I wasn't.
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
you know.
it's, kind of welcome to
1995
computers
is
were
when it
there.
opened, Alan.
Right.
They broke ground in 1989. Let's keep that in
But,
mind.
well, you know, so we're just trying to say that I'm giving them the complete benefit of the doubt that
Right.
they had the latest and greatest equipment.
Right.
And we weren't quite there yet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, with the amazing FedEx barcode systems hadn't been completed yet.
Isn't that something?
Well, and here's kind of a thing, because I happen to know the guy that helped develop that system, that where the barcode could become part of the tracking of anything.
Oh, so that's what started package tracking and stuff?
Well,
Because
yeah.
I'm sure he lives here in Memphis, right?
As a matter of fact, if you ever want to meet him, he's a very nice guy. I see him on a regular basis.
Okay.
But part of that team was developing the ability of a barcode to track with an item. And this
Okay.
was the early days of that, and it wasn't quite there. And they're trying to automate all this, and they were trying to use different codes and different city abbreviations, and there were all kinds of different ways to try to track these packages, and the machinery wasn't all that well dialed in. So we have some classic photos of people's undergarments getting sprayed all over the outside of an airplane because the baggage couldn't handle being handled like that.
I have a question, Alan, because you're the techie guy. Does this, okay, so we're talking, late 80s, early 90s and everything. Is this, I know they always talk about analog and digital. Were we
Right.
still in the analog age, or were we in the transitional age?
We were
Because that
half
seems
and
to
half.
me. Okay. Yeah.
All right, the analog days is where you had a big code on it that said, we're going to Denver, DEN. So the human looked for DEN, not DAR,
Right.
because that was Darwin. And,
Yeah.
and you threw the package in the right thing. So then they had cameras trying to read it.
Right.
But if the package was turned the wrong way, or it got smudged, or something wasn't printed right, then your DEN might look like a DAR, and your package went to Darwin and not to Denver.
Okay, gotcha.
So,
Yeah.
or as happened in Memphis, bless their hearts, there's also a Memphis, Texas.
Right.
And a lot of stuff from Memphis, Tennessee wound up in Memphis, Texas.
The reason I led with the robotics baggage system, Alan, is because the majority of it was underground.
Right.
The idea and these tunnels, this tunnel system, it's very advanced. It's a pretty wide network of tunnels. It makes a lot of sense from the point of view of, okay, well, all of this could be happening underground. There's no traffic. You're not dealing with snow. You're not dealing with rain. However, the basement, or, for lack of a better term, the basement is the foundation of what's being, built upstairs. So I'm assuming that this held up construction above, I would have to believe, right? You get zero. I guess my point was, even in a home improvement project or something, you might get zeroed in on this one niche idea.
Yeah.
And especially if it's a new idea, or maybe it's something that's unproven, or maybe not even well recommended, it can slow the whole project down, right?
Well, the technology we're talking about, a simple 3 years later, enabled Amazon.com to become the megalith that it is today.
Right.
So we're talking right at the cusp of these technologies.
Right.
Now, keep in mind, when they started digging this airport, and I do literally mean those words, digging it,
Oh, yeah.
they basically dug up Manhattan.
Yeah.
Think
of
of
that.
They
the
dug
island
up
of
the
Manhattan.
entire island of Manhattan to begin laying an airport.
Right.
Because this airport's ideal was that we're going to basically be the world's biggest Jiffy Lube. Because we're going to work from underneath.
Right.
Rather than trying to bring all of this big, bulky stuff up alongside and trying to move it and this was going to be a subterranean city of where literally you pulled the plane in, you took the stuff off, you dropped it down the chute,
Right.
and then the luggage ran through miles of this stuff and appeared wherever you need it to appear.
It reminds me of the reverse of what you see when you go to the bank and you put your check in the tube and it shoots up and then it goes
Right.
to the teller,
It
in the
was the
drive-through lane.
exact same idea.
Right. So unfortunately, that didn't really work. And
No.
United
yeah.
Airlines was the only one that stuck with it. All the other airlines bailed out and they said, we're not dealing with this because it's too much
Right.
hassle. And then, but even 10 years later, they just United said, okay, I'm sorry, this isn't working. We tried to back you up on this. But so that was one problem. So we said this, $2 billion over budget is nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah.
And being, 16 months behind schedule. Well, a lot of this is where we get into, I don't know if we want to get, okay, before we get into the conspiracies, let me mention one other thing. So the like we said, they wanted to reflect the spirit of the West. And when we think
Correct.
of the West, we think of cowboys, we think
Right.
of the Native Americans, we think of all the expansion that happened out West, the rugged frontier. So they had an idea to have this interesting sculpture of a horse greeting you at the airport. We're going to get back to him later, put a
Yeah.
pin in that. But the roof of the airport is very unique. It's basically, I don't know if it's a fabric. I think it is, Alan. And it's meant to mimic kind of the Native American dwellings, like, with well, that's great in terms of aesthetic wise. It's not great when they're piled with snow and rain, and these things frequently tore. And
Yes.
suddenly the concourse was just full of snow and that seems like a pretty big design flaw to me. Am I wrong? I mean,
Well, all right. On paper and on math.
it looks cool.
On paper, it worked perfectly.
Okay.
And as Patton once told us, everybody's war plan is perfect until the enemy shows up.
Yeah, exactly.
And, the once in a lifetime 100-year storm now shows up about every 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so that one massive storm that we knew we weren't going to have to worry about for 20, 30 years, well, it showed up like year 2.
Right.
And
Yeah.
this tore, this got beat up, So welcome to all of the greatest of ideas, but not necessarily the most pragmatic implementation.
And also, I have to wonder if they built into their time frame. The weather is pretty severe in Denver.
Yes.
You get pretty, and so the building conditions. I wouldn't want to be a contractor out there. I don't know what that's like. But
working at 20 below with a 30-mile-an-hour wind, trying to,
right. So another feature, though, that's important to mention is the fact that they wanted this to be a mecca. They didn't want you to just go to the airport, get your Starbucks coffee, run to your plane, and get there. They wanted you to enjoy the ambiance.
Right.
They wanted this to be a place that's maybe almost a destination in terms of art and culture. And so they wanted artists to get involved. I gotta wonder who handpicked these artists, because that's question one. And they gave artists more or less a lot of latitude. Usually when you go to an airport, it's pretty safe, kind of mundane
Right.
stuff.
Or it's focused.
Or at least it reflects the spirit of your city or something.
Right. Where a lot of times you can get transient art exhibits.
Yeah.
So we're exhibiting a certain type of art for a certain length of time. They didn't just build it into the property.
Right. I think the art is really what triggered a lot of the conspiracies that we're going to unpack in a minute. So
If
go
the
ahead,
art is a reflection of the area that you're in, I kind of want to live in this area.
I think the fact that it went $2 billion over budget, that it took, almost 2 years, well, a good year and a half longer to build, and the fact that Denver is strategically located, and it's often rumored to be the place that if we ever do have a nuclear war, that's where all the elites are going to go hunker in, because they set up, They set up their headquarters underground, under the mountains, kind of like the dwarfs did in Lord of the Rings. So that sparked conspiracy, which is that's the part that I got to be honest, Alan.
Yeah, we're gonna throw in the words Freemasons, which automatically.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of
that
stuff.
starts it right there.
Yeah, and honestly, folks, if you're looking for videos about the construction of the airport, you're going to have a lot more trouble than you are if you type in Denver Airport and conspiracy. You're going to have more videos than you can handle. But we're going to unpack that a little. You know, it's Halloween now. Let's have a little fun. So we're going to talk about that when we come back. And we've got other goodies. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio here at News Talk 98.9 The Roar, Memphis. We'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
My clamps!
News Talk 98.9 The Roar of Memphis.
That sounds like it needs to be another battle wounds.
And I tell you.
Battle cry. So, yes, watch it with those clamps, folks. Be careful.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration
Oakland
Studios.
gets Fox News Radio here.
Okay. Weird vibe today. You can call. I'm Joe Thornton.
I think it's the
Illuminati.
Denver airport getting revenge on us.
It is. The Illuminati are
Illuminati.
after. I'm Joe Thorderson here with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and Max over there who pushed the wrong buttons from time to time. You can call or text us.
I like blaming the Illuminati.
Exactly. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. And we invite you to go to Tool Talk Radio on Facebook and give us a like and check out the action over there, including a video highlighting some of the features that in our discussion that we're going to get to right now. We've been talking about great moments in building history, and in honor of Halloween, we wanted to go with something a little weird, a little spooky, a little unusual. So we went to the world's weirdest airport, the Denver International Airport. And in the first segment, Allan, we were talking a little bit about the construction, about hats off. They were trying to do something new and revolutionary with this automated baggage system, which they tried. They did their best. They built an entire infrastructure around it, and it just didn't work. So they had to circle back. I have to believe that's probably one of the reasons that it did go $2 billion over budget. That's got to play a role. However, the conspiracy theories began after this because there's so much. I really think it was triggered by the bizarre artwork that's in this airport. I think part of that, okay, we'll go ahead.
When they started digging,
okay,
and nobody had built an airport like this before.
Yeah, I think that's what they were going for. Yeah, they wanted something
and that's
new.
exactly why. So this is one of these things where you walk out there and you say, "Hey, Joe, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to dig up the whole backyard."
Yeah,
and then 2 weeks later, you walk over to Max and go, "Max, you are not going to believe what Allan did. He dug up the whole backyard." All right, everybody knew what we were trying to do at the Denver airport, right?
Okay,
everybody knew, but the sheer scope of it. When you took a look at the pictures or you drove by and realized they honestly dug up the island of Manhattan. This thing is just huge. Everybody in their brain went, nobody needs this much dirt moved.
Well, here's the thing.
Now the conspiracy theories began going, what are they really up to? Because keep in mind, you've also got the UFO stuff going on in the mid-'90s.
Sure.
You got all the government conspiracies going on in the mid-'90s.
Art Bell was at his height.
I got all of this going on. So there are news articles, if you go back to when they're building this, that literally began with, so what's going on in Denver? Why did you need to dig up, half of a mountainside?
Right. And the other part to keep in mind is, okay, well, if you're building a skyscraper, if you're building a building, you can sit there from the street and watch what's being built. Well, when you're going underground, you might be going underground one story, or you might be going underground 50 levels, and you're creating this underground complex for who knows what's, and that's where the speculation begins.
Yes.
But the thing about it, Allan, what I still can't, I'm sorry, I keep going back to the artwork because, so
let's go to the artwork.
Okay, because for one thing, you want people to feel pleasant and comfortable, and there's some people that are afraid of flying. There's some people that are uncomfortable in airports. So you want the imagery to be positive and comforting. You don't want a mural of children singing over a dead Nazi soldier wearing a gas mask, for example.
I mean, hey, there's a theme in art called a memento mori, which is like, remember you will die.
Yeah, okay.
So, like,
I
why
don't know
don't
if you want to remember that at an airport. Yeah, but yeah.
Hey, well, you could die.
Well,
Okay,
there's
and the thing about it is the artwork is very cool. It look and it's there's some others that are there. You at first glance it looks fun, and then you take a look at the details, and there's burning buildings, and there's apocalyptic images, and
well, Alex Sweetman's The Art Chronicles is a beautiful picture of a huge sunflower field
okay,
about 2 weeks after it died.
yeah,
From a gardening point of view, I'm looking at this and I'm going, oh, look at all this. They're getting ready to harvest the sunflowers.
Okay.
I mean, well,
Everybody else went, it's a dead field.
hey, Joe, one of your favorite bands is the Smiths, and all they do is sing about negative stuff in a happy way.
and it is fun music. So I don't know, go figure. But Alan, here's what greets you when you pull up to the and this has to be mentioned, when you pull up to the airport, you're greeted by a massive statue, and you've been there.
Yes.
You've seen it in person.
Yes.
And so, okay, well, naturally, you're in Denver. I mean, you got the Denver Broncos, you've got horse,
Right.
the West. You're going to showcase a horse. Well, this horse, they've nicknamed, it's blue. It's a blue horse with flaming red eyes.
Yes.
Nicknamed Blucifer.
Yes.
Which that's what the locals have called it, because it looks demonic. But Alan, there's a dark history. Can you tell us about the artist? Because this is kind of tragic. It's nothing to laugh at.
Pena
but yeah.
Boulevard was the artist on this, and the title is Mustang.
That's his idea.
That's the title of Mustang. And the hair is supposed to be thick and wavy to show you the power of the West. The horse is supposed to be in full impressive structure to express the power and the will of the people of the West.
Right.
And the red eyes indicate that it's the power and the flame and the passion of the West. And it comes together, and man, it's just a really giant, big blue horse. And where it's sitting is kind of on a raised area.
Yeah. So it looks
all
even
of-
bigger.
Yeah, all of the pictures that everybody takes of it, there's always like heavy weather blowing in behind it,
Or lightning
you get
flashes or sunset
you get the
or
best effect.
But what
And
happened to this artist?
The horse is considered cursed,
right?
because there was an accident just before it was finished, and a piece of it actually broke off and slammed into Luis Jimenez, who was the guy commissioned to make this thing.
In his studio, right?
And so he's in his studio, and he's working with, people like Diego Riviera and Jose Clemente Orcoso, and they're talking about the colors and how this thing's supposed to be great. And just shortly before it was finished, in 2006, I think it was, a piece of the sculpture fell off, hit him in the leg, severed his artery, and killed him.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine that? Because it's, okay, what are the odds of that? And then plus he couldn't get to a hospital.
Yeah,
I mean, that's very
his
sad.
family had it finished, and in complete honor of him, as exactly how he had it finished, they unveiled it in February of 2008.
But I mean, you can't deny it's a weird looking statue. It's creepy, and then the coloring does not help, which to me was another important reminder of the importance of choosing the right paint color. Because I'm sorry, if this thing had normal eyes and maybe it was colored in a more friendly color, it would probably look just pretty adventurous and cool. But
I got to tell you, when you drive by this thing,
yeah,
32 feet does not do it justice. This thing looks like Godzilla.
if you see a 32-foot statue,
huge.
that's big. That's probably as big as
huge.
So, okay, so there's the artwork, but so part of the conspiracy too.
I adored the gargoyles
Yeah, they've
adorning
got
the whole
gargoyles.
thing all around the baggage claim areas.
Mhm.
You got all the gargoyles with the classic, with the tongues hanging out and everything. They're absolutely fabulous. Not what you expect to find in an airport, I freely admit.
Okay, but here's the thing. Let's just put our tinfoil hats on here, Alan, because let's suppose, because there are people as serious as they can be. They're like, this is a full-on underground network. This is some nefarious group put together a transportation hub, underground headquarters. It's their command station. Well, what if that's true? What better way to disguise it than to just say, you know what? We're going to put this out there, and we're going to tell people that's what it is. We're going to put all this weird artwork. We're going to put this creepy horse, And the only people that will probably actually believe that are the conspiracy kooks who we can easily dismiss. So it's the best camouflage. They're hiding it right out in the open.
Well, all right.
So, I mean,
here's one of the best conspiracy theories they have.
Okay.
Is right there above the dedication stone is everything's laid out in Braille.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's a big Braille stone there. And the urban legend is that the Braille stone is actually a touchstone.
Okay.
And if you play the characters in the right order, you'll be able to open some kind of time capsule to it. Or that it is actually some kind of Masonic reader.
Right.
And because of the urban legend, employees have seen visitors going through, and some of the people, especially if they belong to the Masonic orders, they have membership cards.
Oh, yeah.
And you'll see people go by and do kind of like the, touch card.
Like a little scan deal.
Like, trying to see if it'll scan their card. It's a Braille plaque, but everybody wants it to be something more. So congratulations. It's got a couple of urban legends to it. If you press the right combination, it's magically going to open, or it can scan your Mason card, or maybe it's touch technology like our modern credit cards, and you wave it by and something's going to say hello.
Yeah.
There's a group. Now, part of the capstone to this, it mentions a group called the New World Airport Commission.
And see, there
Which
you go.
doesn't exist.
Well, hold on, Alan. You and I lived through the 90s. We remember the big hubbub when George Bush said the New World Order, and people just lost their minds. So they could have worded this any way they wanted, but they put the word New World
those
in there.
words in it.
I'm telling you, this is probably somewhere along the lines, the marketing campaign for this was brilliant, because now I want to go to the Denver airport. I want to see this. I don't care if I have to. If I'm going to California, I don't want the nonstop flight. I want to go and stop in the airport for a 5-hour layover and check it out. So,
and because of the number of UFOs or lights in the sky sightings, in the mountains, the next one was that ET and or the lizard people or the Greys or whoever have taken up positions in many of the underground tunnels under the Denver airport because, well, they weren't good for anything else.
Right.
So why not have the aliens living there? And the marketing department at the airport has periodically leaned into of some of these legends.
No, they're shameless. They've got pictures of aliens and stuff in the airport, and they're like, "Help us, I
love the ad campaign to announce the new restaurants and bars that were being built in the airport. And there's this big, huge poster. It looks fantastic, and I'm not going to say very well photoshopped, but they've photoshopped the stock photo.
Right.
Of they always have a stock photo of some guy standing there, looking like he's at the airport, right?
Yeah.
Except he's got green hands and a lizard head.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, what are we doing at the DEN? We're adding amazing new restaurants and bars. And then underneath it says, and by the way, we're also adding an Illuminati headquarters, and we're remodeling the lizard people's lair.
Right. But there you go.
You guys are just killing me.
Perfect way to disguise it. Well, Alan, we're steering into Geek Tank Radio territory, so we probably ought to wrap it up. But folks, I would encourage you.
Just welcome to Halloween year round in the airport.
Yeah, and folks, go there because they're in the middle of an upgrade right now, and they've built some really beautiful, I think it's like a 500-room hotel that's connected. And this thing is not your cookie cutter hotel. It's really nice. So they definitely respect art out there. I will give them that.
Right.
So, but let's shift gears, Alan. We're going to go to Lebanon, right? The Lebanese, right?
Yeah,
This is science. I guess this is sciencey. I don't know if I warned you about this, Max, but it's kind of science. It's being forced into upgrading. This has to do with solar power. You sent me a story about how the Lebanese grid is starting to collapse, and it's starting to either become overwhelmed, and they're sort of being forced to steer into solar technology. Is that right?
Well,
Which you don't want to wind up in that situation.
It's not necessarily the word forced, but here we're going to have Well, if you think about it today, Joe, if you and I go to the big box store or we follow a lot of the vendors that we deal with,
Right.
solar, wind, thermal, hydro, there's a lot of options available.
Yeah.
And solar being basically the easiest.
And we're seeing it in a lot of mundane things like lights or alarm. There's cameras that are solar powered.
Solar powered lights, powers of the biggest thing was the battery.
Right.
So now that other companies, especially a lot of the generator companies, are jumping into the house battery idea, a grid is getting less and less important. Now, in a country like Lebanon, where their grid has been under a lot of pressure for a lot of different reasons for many, many years, a lot of new facilities, productions, and houses are just kind of basically going, we don't need the grid.
Isn't that something?
So
so
what
this
we're
is
going
a
to
positive
do,
thing.
yeah.
Okay.
So what we're going to do, well, since the grid isn't all that reliable, we're just going to go ahead and put in a space bank of batteries. We're going to slap solar on the roof, and hey, while the grid's working, we can sell power back to the grid. Or if it's a big cloudy day, we can get some power from the grid. But basically, a lot of this country is looking towards the alternative energies.
Okay, I got a question, Alan. Is this the type of thing? Because I've got friends in California, and they get those rolling brownouts. Because Californians have their own power issues. Do they have the same kind of situation here where you're like, okay, I'm tired of my power going off for 4 hours in the middle when I'm trying to work, so I'm just going to
they're
get
in the
off
middle
the
of
grid.
They're in the middle of a desert.
Right.
Okay.
So,
So you're trying to build we're just going to say, you and I are going to build a big banquet hall.
Right.
It's going to be 20,000 square feet. So that means we got 22,000 square feet of roof?
Sure. Yeah, that sounds
Well,
right.
we're in a desert.
Right.
That's 22,000 square feet of energy generation.
Yeah.
If we got a couple of decent storage batteries in the back to level out the power, we can, what do we need? What do we need with the grid at that point?
Right.
So if there are rolling brownouts and there are pressures against the grid that, we don't want to have to deal with, why not just work around it these days?
Yeah.
So it could be a downer story that their grid's not that great and their technology hasn't really kept up, or it's a really positive story in the fact that we now have options.
Yeah.
This is a huge leap because now you're decentralizing your grid.
Can I say something? And I want to get on my soapbox, Alan, but this is because it's always easy to listen to the news of the day and just go, well, okay, we're doomed. This is, it's never going to work.
Right.
This notion of, okay, yeah, right, Alan, as though we're going to one day be off the grid. Well, just think of this, folks. In our own lifetime, I remember my phone bill back in the day. Mm-hmm. If you wanted to make a long distance phone call, remember how expensive that was?
My gosh.
Remember what a hassle it was. And these days, nobody even thinks about, if I got to call my buddy in California, you could talk for 3 hours and
nobody cares.
It doesn't matter. You have one flat bill. So the long distance phone call in our own lifetime is something that's nobody would have predicted that's just going to go away.
Look behind the glass at Max over here, and he has no idea what we're talking about when you had to call the operator at a certain hour because the rates changed.
And you had to be in your home tied to a phone that had a cord that you can only go 6 feet away.
He has no idea what we're talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, I've seen that stuff. I haven't really experienced it too much, but
Well, you haven't paid the bill,
you saw it
Max,
in a movie.
So,
Or The Simpsons.
Right.
Yeah, you saw The Simpsons.
So who's to say
we used
stuff
to
like
wait
this isn't
until
possible?
we used to wait until Sunday evening after 8 p.m. to call Aunt Millie,
right?
Because the rates dropped in half.
To me, this is something people would look back 100 years from now and go, can you believe they used to have power companies? They used to have, whatever.
Well,
I understand that we're going to need a degree of that, but
exactly. I don't think a power company is ever going to go away, but I think this is a great example of what, if everybody just kind of makes up their mind that we're just going to move forward.
Right.
And quit, we just need to move forward. Let's be pragmatic. If we know this is going to be a problem, let's take care of the problem.
Right.
And again, you and I are building the 20,000 square foot banquet hall. We know we need X amount of power. We know we need X amount of space. This automatically solves a huge expense. It's part of the ongoing construction. So we built it right into the process. And now you've got the batteries, now you've got the power, and you've decentralized a major part of what was the problem is now part of the solution.
Okay, you said something too, and I think we sort of glossed over it, which I don't want to do. You said something that's actually pretty critical. You said that other companies are shifting and they're getting into the battery. You know, they were doing generators, and now they're like,
Right.
okay, why don't we look at home batteries? And to me, the more competition you get, the better the results are going to be, and the more choices for consumers, which is always a good thing. So the fact that they're seeing that it could be lucrative, that's good. I think that's a good thing. So,
I think it's an amazing. I have been waiting for the house battery since reading Robert Heinlein books 40 years ago.
Right.
And which he talked about houses having their own individual power cells.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, wow, that would be amazing. Because 40 years ago, when I first started looking at the alternative energies, we started looking at alternative energies back in the 60s.
Right.
And, that was 60 years ago. But we just didn't have a way of storing the power.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, 60 years later, technology has brought us to a point where a little competition, let's get a few research firms, competing to see who's going to get to the big box store first.
Right.
And now suddenly you got 2 or 3 days worth of energy in the can. You're not worried
Just
about the
unhook from
big
the grid.
storm taking out the grid.
Right.
You're going to be fine. You'll be good for a few hours till they get the grid to back up.
Right.
I'm just looking at this as one of these flagship moments where suddenly the fringe becomes the mainstream.
Yeah. And everybody thinks, I've heard a great quote. They said, all these ideas are, impossible till somebody just does them. And then, yeah. But I was just thinking of something else, Alan, because it seems like last week we were talking about these ocean batteries that are,
Yes.
It's based on water currents and movement. It's basically you capture the motion. What are those water wheels like they had in Europe? That basically
Right.
What are those called though? They're just called water.
They're called water
paddle
wheels,
wheels
yeah.
or whatever
Yeah.
on the side of somebody's got a mill or somebody's got a
Yes.
wood shop, and they use that to power their
Ran
saws.
a little water over it, and yeah.
Well, as we know, underground there are all sorts of water current. There's all sorts of rivers going underground. There's so what if there's a way someday you just
stuck a turbine down there.
you stick a turbine under your house, and that continually moving water is giving you electrical power. I just think Max and I have talked about that. The more high tech we get, the more organic and natural I think this stuff's going to start looking. And tapping into this it's pretty exciting. So I don't know, man.
Well, people have looked at this and said, well, your problem with this is, and they start listing a litany of problems. And it's kind of like we've had a litany of problems with every power source we've ever used.
Yeah.
Because ask the whales. They were not fond of certain power sources for hundreds of years.
Isn't that something? That's true.
I mean,
Think of
let's be
whaling and all
honest.
that stuff. Yeah.
Your great-great-grandparents read books by whale oil.
Absolutely. So,
And we don't do that anymore.
no. So stay positive, folks, But
I'm really looking forward to seeing what's going to happen in this industry over the next 5 years.
all right, hey Alan, real quick. We always do this. We never get into we never promote our stuff. I'm shifting gears. I want to quickly, if you don't mind, I want to mention that we're only a month away from the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention, which we run. It's it might surprise people to know what big geeks we are, but it's coming up November 18th through 20th, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Go to memphiscfc.com to check out the information there. Go to the Facebook page and check that out as well. And I'll update people as we get closer. But what's going on with Geeky Side TV?
Oh, my gosh. Go to darkoakmedia.com. We've got new shows, new adventures in food, and all kinds of other great stuff coming up.
Okay. Wow. What a show. What a weird show. And Alan, I suspect next week we might have a little more weirdness because we're going to be a week before Halloween.
Oh, yeah. Can't wait.
It's gonna get interesting, especially with our great moments in building history. We've already sort of brainstormed. I think.
We know where we're going next week.
Anyway, but guys, we're out of time. Once again, the show flew by too quickly. But you've been listening to another action-packed and bizarre episode of Tool Talk Radio. So on behalf of my buddy Allan Gilbreth and our pal Max behind the glass, I'm Joe Thorderson. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.